The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus took Peter, James, and John and led them up a high mountain apart by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his clothes became dazzling white, such as no fuller on earth could bleach them. Then Elijah appeared to them along with Moses, and they were conversing with Jesus. Then Peter said to Jesus in reply, "Rabbi, it is good that we are here. Let us make 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He hardly knew what to say. They were so terrified. Then a cloud came, casting a shadow over them. From the cloud came a voice, "This is my beloved Son. Listen to him." Suddenly, looking around, they no longer saw anyone but Jesus, alone with them. As they were coming down from the mountain, he charged them not to relate what they had seen to anyone, except when the Son of Man had risen from the dead. So they kept the matter to themselves, questioning what rising from the dead meant. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Last week, we heard about God initiating a covenant with Noah, promising never again to destroy the earth. The bow, the rainbow in the sky, would serve as a reminder to God of this covenant for all ages to come. Another covenant is implied in today's first reading, again from the book of Genesis, God's covenant with Abraham. God promises Abraham many blessings, including many descendants. In turn, God asks Abraham to simply trust him. But how do you trust a God who asks you to sacrifice your only son? That scene between Abraham and his son Isaac is a gripping, if not disturbing, story. Abraham is torn between the God of his heart and the son of his flesh. If he chooses his son Isaac, Abraham would lose favor with his God. But if he chooses God, Abraham, in his old age, would have killed the only son who would have extended his progeny. As we hear the story of Abraham and his son Isaac, we no doubt ask ourselves, what kind of a God would ever demand that a father kill his own son? How could God ever ask such a thing? And how could Abraham willingly acquiesce to sacrifice his own son's life? The author of this story, however, is not concerned with these questions. Amazingly, Abraham does not pose any questions. No, why? No, how can you ask this of me? No, Abraham gives himself completely to God, willingly surrendering even his only son out of obedience to God, out of love for God. In a different but similar way, God the Father will also surrender his only Son. To quote St. Paul's words to us this morning, God did not spare his own Son, but handed him up for us all. Like Father Abraham, God the Father does not ask why he should sacrifice his beloved Son. He does so simply out of love. Love for his creation, love for humanity, love for you and for me. This mystery of surrender and love is revealed in the transfiguration of Jesus. Peter and his fishing partners, James and John, are given a glimpse of the glory of God when Jesus is transfigured before their very eyes. They fall down in fear because they have never, ever experienced anything like this before. But they come to know one thing. This dazzling event confirms what they had long suspected. The relationship between God and his beloved Son is unparalleled. But Jesus knows something that Peter and the others would have yet to learn. In his moment of transfiguration, Jesus converses with Moses, the great lawgiver of the chosen people, and with Elijah, a great prophet of Israel. Both had also suffered for the sake of God's mission in this world. Both endured ridicule and pain. Both had been rejected by the people they had been sent to rescue. Jesus takes his place among their company, not only as the fulfillment of the law and the prophets, but also with them as a suffering servant. In this moment of his transfigured glory, Peter, James, and John get a glimpse of Jesus' own future suffering and death on a cross. In time, as they and the other apostles will come to understand that glory and the cross go hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. And so too for us. Suffering and pain are realities we all experience. Perhaps it's been the death of a spouse, or a parent, or a child, or a relative or friend. Perhaps a tragic accident or illness. For many living in southern Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio these past few days, devastating tornadoes have meant the death of loved ones, families devastated and torn apart, homes completely destroyed. Perhaps for us, it's been a broken relationship or an act of violence. Unlike Abraham, we all too often ask, why? Why the senseless killing, for example, of 3 high school students this past Monday in Chardon, Ohio? And closer to home, why did an 18-year-old senior at Washington High School here in South Bend, who regularly attended college preparatory classes through the Upward Bound program here at Notre Dame, and who focused on being the first one in his family to go to college, why just 3 months before his graduation were his hopes dashed in a matter of seconds last Sunday night when he was shot multiple times in the head in a park on the city's southwest side? Suffering and pain are realities which we all face, to one degree or another. Of suffering and evil, God gives human beings no explanation or answer to our perennial questions. Why? Why me? Why not me? While faith does not give us simple answers to the problem of pain and suffering, it can bring us strength, hope, and peace. Jesus, fallen on the way to Calvary, was God's response to our pain. God with us and God for us. God did not give us words of illumination. He gave not an argument, but a demonstration. I will join you, he said. I will weep with you. I will talk with you through it all to transfiguration and glory. We witness in Jesus Christ suffering and transfiguration, death and life. We witness in Jesus Christ the pain of God and the meaning of love. And all of this done for us. Such is his eternal covenant poured out for us. Like Abraham, our father in faith, God our Father loved his Son and was willing to surrender him for our sake, not asking why, but simply out of love. That says a lot about God and a lot about us.